Okay, well, I was kind of a little nervous to do this video because I see other people doing it and stuff, and it seemed like, hey, maybe I need to do more research and everything like that. But what the heck? I decided just, put the fears to the side and just do it. So, yeah, the name of this video, which is actually the name of this channel, is death is not a death sentence, which is really real because death is not a death sentence. A lot of people are grieving. A lot of people are, going through a lot of things and crying and doesn't have any peace in their mind or heart. And, a lot of times when you're grieving, you don't want to hear about the Lord. You don't want to hear about Jesus. You just don't want to hear about any of that. I know because, I grieved my son that I lost at 12 years old, 21 years ago. I lost my brother. I lost both of my sisters. I lost a lot of loved ones. And yeah, it took a lot. It took a lot. But I also could tell you that, you know, death is not a death sentence because, in the process of me losing my son, I've died as well. We were in an accident and I died as well. And I know heaven is real because I was there. And um, I can honestly tell you that how I got over my grief. I'm going to say, I'm not going to say get over it. I'm just going to say God made it so where I can live with it. Um, it was just really through prayer, through believing, through trust. I don't think you found this video on by mistake. Maybe you're going through something, or maybe someone that's going through something. You lost someone that that's really close to you or whatever, whatnot, and you got a lot of pain, and maybe you turn to alcohol, drugs, or whatever. But I can honestly tell you that death is not a death sentence. It's like everybody is all together. And not only that, they still walk the earth, whereas they see the signs, they're around us. Just because you can't see them does not mean that you can't feel them. I was fortunate enough to have dreams about all my loved ones. When I died and came back, something happened to me. I was able to see things clearly. I was able to, I don't know, somewhat kind of like psychic kind of like, but we are taught not to be. Oh my gosh, that's witchcraft. But nevertheless, though, I really want to touch on this. Like Matthew 5:4 talks about. Blessed are those who mourn. You know, who mourn, and they shall be comforted. And a lot of times, you don't want to listen to that. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to be like, hey, listen, you know what? I'm grieving, and nobody don't know my pain. Nobody don't know how I feel. That was my mom. That was my brother. That was my sister. That was my cousin. That was my husband. That was my wife. That was, my loved one. Y'all don't understand. That's all I had left. And I'm gonna do anything it takes to numb me out. I'm just gonna just give up. But I can honestly tell you, they don't want you to give up. They don't want you to give up or anything like that. They want you to find peace, because the worst thing you can ever do for them is give up. They don't want you sad, even though it's like we're human. And of course, we're going to be sad because, but they're sad too. They don't want to be without us. So I'll be making videos every day just to kind of try to comfort people and just give them like an insight and everything like that, and just try to give you some, pep talk. And, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free in the comment section or whatever, and just leave me some questions. And I mean, I'll be happy to just listen to what you have to say. And, and I always will respond always. I just think that peace, peace comes with within. It comes within. From within. It comes from Jesus. It comes from God. Like I said, if you're not there yet, that's okay. Whatever religion you deal with. But if you're not there yet, then I can yell it to the kingdom come, because God knows I did not want to hear nothing about no Jesus and no. I didn't want to hear, oh, is there anything you can do? Oh, I'll do anything. Just let me know. You know what? You can't bring them back, can you? So please stop telling me you're there, or, if you could do anything, because literally you're not Jesus. You can't bring back Lazarus and all the rest of this. And, so, a lot of times people, we thank you for that, but we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear, oh, everything's going to be all right, or God got a plan, or Jesus, he don't make mistakes. And we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear all of that. Like I say, even though you mean well, but that's the worst thing you could say to someone that is grieving. You know, call me if you need me. Why would I call you? So you become angry, you become bitter, and sometimes you just be like, hey, listen, you just withdraw. And what I did was I turned to alcohol. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not perfect. I was just like, get this. This is for the birds. My whole life just been, I start being like, poor me and pity party. And, they say even in the Bible, when you lose a child, that's one of the worst things you can ever lose. So my goodness, I mean, if God, when they killed Jesus and God said, kill them all, when they killed his son, you got to know there got to be some heck of a pain when God said, kill them all, when they killed his child. And we are nowhere compared to God, but we are made in this image. So imagine if God is pure and perfect and we are sinful and we feel the same way, it is unbelievable. So death is not a death sentence. It never was. It never will be. Just because you're not from on this earth doesn't mean you're gone. You're not gone. They got to send you signs. You might, your remote is gone. You put your remote there. You put your shoes there. You put your keys there. You listen. You'll hear certain songs on the radio, and that those are their songs. And sometimes you'll always hear them, or you'll see the type of car they drive. Everywhere. I mean, they send all kind of signs. Sometimes you dream about them and they don't speak, they don't talk, they just stand there and look at you. It's like all kind of signs of how they come to you, and you like, some people be like, hey, listen, I haven't seen them in my dreams, I haven't seen them anything, I wish they would come to me. They already have, you just don't know. Sometimes you dream and you don't remember, but it doesn't mean that they wasn't there. And sometimes you're sleeping and they're there and you don't see them, you're asleep. So don't ever think that, oh, my loved ones are not coming to me. My loved ones, no, they're always there. They're always come. I don't care if it's been 30, 40 years that they're gone or whatever, whatnot. They're always there. They're always coming around. They're always checking on you. Just like you don't forget them, they don't forget you. It's called it's almost like a quantum entanglement in so many words, because like quantum entanglement is like when two particles are to get actually it's like one, but it's actually two. So when you meet someone, you'll always be connected to that person. It's an entanglement, but you have to have some love and some connection towards them. So I mean, space and time doesn't have anything to do with it. So just because they're going off this earth, you still have that entanglement with them, over space and time, so you guys are always connected. Anyways, like I said, this is the first video. I'm fairly new to this, guys. So, but I just wanted to get on here and, you'll be seeing me a lot, making videos and things of that nature. Like I said, death is not a death sentence. I'm just here to try to uplift people, share the word of God, understand, let you guys know like Jesus and God is real. He's the only one that can bring us peace overall, to be honest with you. So anyways, leave me some down, leave me a comment in a comment in the chat. So God bless everyone and take care.